It's Yandere Sunday, my dudes, and welcome back to It Gets So Lonely Here. You guys seem to really enjoy this game, and I loved it as well. I thought it was absolutely amazing. The artwork, the music, the story, mwah. As we know, in the last time we played, if we fight against our fate, something very different happens, something very interesting. Are you not happy with the hand that fate has dealt you? Very well. I cannot blame you. It is quite a grim ending. I would not wish it upon my worst enemy, and you are rather dearer to me than that. Now, why don't we give this another go? Just try not to be buried alive this time. I can only endure so much of your screaming. Your fate is once again in your hands. Now I wonder, which path will you take? And just like that, that brings us back to the beginning of the game, but with one less choice, which is very strange and very interesting, and adds a bit of depth, as in, who is the narrator now? Because I thought the narrator was just, a narrator. It was just us reading, but apparently not, because the narrator, whoever it is, has a deep love for the main character. And is the narrator the person that is following us, the person that we are running away from and getting in these woods because of in the first place? This time, let's go to the shore. I wonder what horrors await us there. So you want to go to the shore? Good idea. What will you discover there, I wonder? This night is far from over, and there are any number of adventures still awaiting you. What's also interesting is that if they are following us, and love us as they say, but they're the narrator, if they're narrating us, then doesn't that mean that they're already here and can see everything that's happening? I hope that you have prepared yourself in advance, and I do hope, for your sake, that you have learned how to swim. I have a sneaking suspicion that this skill might come in handy. I suspect that too. You do not know what awaits you, but you have visions of a harbor extending out to the horizon, cradling a fleet of white-sailed fishing vessels. Surely there will be a kind fisherman who will be willing to take you far, far away on his boat, to a place where your pursuer will not be able to find you. He'll look intimidating at a glance, but he'll be fiercely protective of you, just like a father. You do not know what fathers are supposed to be like. You're only imagining. It is your imagination, however, which grants you the strength needed to keep going. You run to the shore. It takes some time before you finally emerge from the woods, but finally you do it. How much time, you ask? Cannot answer that. Did I not say that time had begun to lose all its meaning? It's interesting, time has lost all meaning and we just went back in time. Connection? Coincidence? I think not. Sun has yet to rise. You can see the moon clearly now as it hangs above your head, round as any pearl or orb or crystal ball. Are we going to turn into mermaids? Are we at Mako Island? Nice. You glance this way and that, depressing the tall grass beneath your shoes as you search for a place of shelter. What is that over yonder? Could that be a roof? You hurry onwards, hope budding anew in your heart, until at long last you reach your destination. There is a house, after all, out there in the wilds, though it doesn't at a glance look very welcoming. There are several holes, in fact, and parts of it look particularly bare, almost bald. Should it rain, you will not be properly protected from the elements. Can you really stay the night in such a place? You have some misgivings. But do your misgivings matter? Really? When there is nowhere else to go? It is with a sense of defeat, therefore, that you approach the cottage, which sticks out of the earth like a tombstone. Part of you wants to turn back, but you know that would be foolish. You swallow. The taste of the salty sea breezes, pungent in the back of your nostrils. Then, you rap the knuckles of your fist on the door. You rap quietly at first, but you do not hear any resultant shuffling inside the cottage. Perhaps you did not use enough strength. Emboldened, you rap your knuckles against the door for the second time, more loudly this time. You wait a few moments, but still you cannot hear anything. Perhaps the cottage is unoccupied after all. More intrigued now than anxious, your fingers find the handle of the door. You pull it down, and to your surprise, it yields easily. The door swings back for you as if by magic. It feels almost as if this was preordained. Yeah, definitely nobody living here. You step foot inside the cottage, which is very dark, and glance around. It is every bit as small and as cramped as you fancied when you observed it from the outside. There are a few cupboards which line the walls, a wood fire, which has since been extinguished, and a straw pallet on the floor, which must function as a bed. Your search is unsuccessful, however, when it comes to trying to locate other humans. You cannot find another soul. You close the door behind you, then approach the straw pallet. All of a sudden, you feel incredibly weary. The tiredness that assails your limbs is absolute, so intense it overcomes the last of your concerns. You settle down upon the straw pallet, yawning as you do. Your eyelids fall shut, your lashes melting together, and soothed by the sounds of the wind and the distant rolling of the waves, you fall asleep. Then you begin to dream. In your dreams, you are the conservatoire. With your red hair tied back in two prim, proper braids, your hair is pink, however, not red, so I don't know what you're talking about. You are walking through the courtyard, clutching your books to your chest as you make your way to the library. Your head is bowed. You do not look at the faces of your passing classmates. These girls with their sensible braids and their sensible shoes are merciless. That's what you get for being in a girls' school. Always go mixed, I say. You stumble, clumsy thing that you are, and you fall. And just like that, all eyes are upon you. They're laughing at you. You lay there on the ground by the fountain, your books scattered in your skirt woeful state of disarray. You have a fountain? Again, what timeline is this meant to be in? Your knee hurts. Is it bleeding? You examine your injured leg, trying not to cry, and as this transpires, you hear a voice. One of your classmates is calling out to you. He's acknowledged you. You look up shyly, tears beating in your eyes at the girl taller than you and prettier and much more refined. Probably a Yandere, we should really stay away, but too late now. She extends her hand towards you. Hesitantly, you reach out and accept her offered aid. Her fingers curl around yours tightly, perhaps too tightly. Her nails dig into your skin. Deftly, the girl pulls you to your feet. Your legs feel weak from your fall and your knees still aching, still bleeding. The girl's hands are on your shoulders. She's laughing at you. Then she's pushing you. Probably not a Yandere then. The sound of the fountain and the running water which drums against the basin is all of a sudden very loud. It's overwhelming. The rushing of the water continues, echoing in your eardrums over and over, and then... No. You do not want to remember this. What good will it do? It's in the past, where the past ought to remain. You're never going back, not even in your dreams. You gasp like a fish as you sit upright, your eyes unnaturally wide. You feel weary from lack of sleep, and with half-lidded eyes you glance about. It is still dark inside your cottage, the sky, visible from beyond, the windows splashed still with stars. How long were you asleep? Your dream was so very detailed, it really did feel that you had been transported into a different time, into a different place. Well, now what are you to do? Will you go back to sleep? On unsteady legs you rise to your feet, then stand by the window. You look out to the starry sky and to the pitted moon which hangs amongst them, and you frown. You can hear wind outdoors, howling like an injured animal, and, more softly, the ebb and flow of the waves as they meet the cliffs. But that is not all. What is that sound? Why, it is almost like singing. I thought it might be! The voice is far away enough that you cannot pick out any individual words, nor even the individual syllables, but there is a haunting quality to it all. The singer, whoever they are, possesses quite the pretty voice, high and clear like a bell. The song is a melancholy one which stirs your heart. Curiosity takes root inside you, as it did during that fateful day you found that book in the library. What book? Logically, you know you should not go outdoors to seek the source of that singing, but emotionally, that is another matter altogether. The rest of the world yawns before you, framed in the doorway, all of it bathed in moonlight. You look across the cold, inhospitable landscape, your fingers clench into fists at your sides. Then, you step out into the unknown. Your eyes narrow with determination. Then, you take a step towards the cliff. These cliffs are steep and the rocks below them are sharp, and I definitely would not jump off of that, you will die. You can see them glinting in the darkness, their tips jagged like teeth of hungry predators. The cold wind blows, rocking your hair, and you shudder from it. Your shoes were not built for scaling cliffs, and your heels do not have much in the way of purchase. particularly not when the cliffs are so steep. The wind is so powerful it feels as though there is something deliberately malicious to it. You continue to climb. How long have you been at it now? Until at long last your feet meet the shoreline below. You have made it. You did not sustain too many injuries. Your palms are throbbing, yes, after gripping those rocks, and you might have a few cuts, but your wounds are of a shallow and superficial sort. You flex your fingers. You feel uncomfortably numb and cold alongside it. There are no longer any obstacles between you and the mysterious voice which lulled you outdoors. Now you must find them. A sense of foreboding settles upon you, but you try to squash it. You will not let yourself be afraid. Why, hello there. Are those her ribs or tattoos? Not sure, but otherwise, very nice. Not really my type, but I like her. You round a corner, your feet unsteady in their sensible brown shoes, and then, at long last, you see her. Death. The woman's eyes are closed and her lips are parted, her expression soulful. She is singing. Her hair, which is fair, flutters around her face like a shroud, which adds to her otherworldly aura. Her eyes might be closed, but her lashes are long and luxuriant like a doll's. Her lips, meanwhile, which are parted in song, are soft like the freshly plucked petals of a flower. Her face is perfect, as are her proportions. As for the lower half of her body, meanwhile, well, it is nothing like anything you have ever seen before. This unusual sight makes you gasp, and quite audibly at that. You do not mean to be rude, but you cannot help yourself. Crikey, her eyes are huge. Oh my. You meant to observe the mermaid from a distance, but it would appear that your shocked gasp was loud enough to attract her attention. Your heart seems to stop inside your chest as if by some manner of magic spell. You thought the mermaid pretty when first you observed her sitting on that outcrop of rock, her face turned in profile. Now she is looking at you, however. You can see that you were mistaken. She's beautiful. She's not just pretty. She is beautiful. So much so it is almost unnerving. You look at the mermaid. She looks back at you. You prepare yourself expecting some sort of altercation, but the surprise soon fades from the mermaid's face. Oh, she smiles. Her lips, which were once pursed in a frown, now shift upwards. She is smiling. Then she's smiling happily. Then she says in a refined sort of voice, My, it really is good to see a human again, particularly a human girl. Ooh, oh my. I was beginning to fear your kind had all disappeared, and I would no longer have anybody left to tell me of the world above the waters. My, this is quite an effusive greeting. Why would she think that humans are dead? Are there not many of us left? I suppose there's a plague going around. The mermaid's introductory speech is positively brimming with excitement of a sweet, girlish variety. She is rather more immiscible than the fine polish of her syllables would make one to suggest. Anxiously, you observe the mermaid, and you ask her what she means. What happened? As to that, I am afraid I cannot say. I have been sitting on these rocks and singing for many, many nights, and nobody has come to see me. There have been no lovely humans for me to play with. Rather you not refer to humans as lovely and playthings, that's a little concerning, but alright. I feared some manner of calamity had occurred while I was slumbering beneath the water's surface and your kind had been eradicated. You shudder. Then reassure the mermaid to the contrary. You do not know about the humans that she used to speak with, but you, at least, had not been eradicated. You are still here. Yes, well, I can see that, the mermaid answers with a slight laugh. It really is relief. My fellow merpeople who live beneath the water told me not to worry so, but I could not help myself. I have always been fond of you humans. It was rather sobering, sitting here night after night, all on my own. It gets so lonely here. Ah, she said the thing. Now that is an interesting turn of phrase. It catches inside your head like a blur. Have you heard it before? So, dear human, did you say that you are unfamiliar with these parts? Hesitantly, you examine the mermaid. Thoughtless though you might be, at times you are not very self-centered that you cannot detect the note of longing in the mermaid's voice. It is evident, as she looks at you, that she is hoping for a particular answer to her query. This answer, alas, is not one that you can furnish her with. You do not want to lie to her. This is, after some hesitation, therefore, that you reaffirm your earlier words, though this time you embellish them. You tell the mermaid that you are a traveller from far-off land, one which is very dissimilar to this one. It is not a complete fabrication. You tell her that you have only just arrived by the shore and you are unfamiliar both with your immediate surroundings and those further afield. Yes, that is true. You are here. I am grateful, naturally, for your company, although... Wistfully the mermaid sighs. I was rather hoping you might be able to bring me some news of the nearby village and of its inhabitants. This makes you wonder. Was there a particular person from this village she was close to? A gravedigger, perhaps? So you were able to work that much out, the mermaid answers with a small smile. You are an intelligent one, aren't you? Your past professors would beg to differ on that score. You were always awful when it came to academics, mathematics in particular. Aren't we all? I'm not, I like math. Touched by her compliment and tell her that it was nothing more than a lucky guess. For a guess, it was remarkably accurate. You are quite right. I did have a close friend from the nearby village. She was very dear to me. Internally, you congratulate yourself on this piece of detective work. How very clever you are. There are many humans in this world, of that I know. The human who spoke of me, however, was special. She was my human. You do not fail to catch the possessive note in the mermaid's voice. And I cherished her dearly. She would come to me on my rock late at night, when she was finished with her chores, and we would talk. I asked her a good number of questions about the human realm and about her customs. I fear my endless inquiries must have been rather tedious, but she was always happy to indulge me. She never once scorned me for my ignorance, and neither did she make me feel like a fool. She was a farmer's daughter, and she was awfully busy from dawn till dusk, threshing hay and taking animals out to the pasture. So, not the gravedigger, but rather the girl of our fantasies from the last round. She told me of her work, and I marveled at her. Slender though she was, she possessed a truly tremendous amount of strength. I, who have lived in the ocean all my life, cannot countenance working as hard as she did, but she bore her burdens without complaining. The wistful manner in which the mermaid speaks of her friend makes you feel, for a few brief moments, the flicker of some ugly primordial emotion. Primordial. Could it be jealousy? It is painful, isn't it, to hear others wax poetic about those they hold dear, particularly when you yourself have never been regarded in so intimate a matter. You have, for many years, been woefully alone. Where did she go? Oh, if only I knew. She quite simply disappeared one day, almost as if she had been whisked away by a wicked spirit. That seems like quite the anticlimactic ending for such a close relationship. Did the farmhand not tell her companion beforehand that she might one day disappear? No, she did not. Nothing of the sort happened. It was all very sudden. So you ask, feeling affronted upon the mermaid's behalf, did she not give you any warning? Not a single one. And when, you ask, did she disappear? I do not know, in truth. Time is a strange concept of beings such as myself, particularly as it seems to ebb and flow differently above and below the surface. You humans have a strange compulsion to pin down and to place labels upon everything. You have names for your seasons and for your months and even for your days in the week. It is all very precise. We merfolk, however, do not bother with such affairs. Perhaps because we live for so much longer than you humans do. Maybe she just got old and died. I fear that something must have happened to her, or to her family, or perhaps to her whole village. You can hear the worry throbbing in the mermaid's voice, so potent that For a few moments, you swear that you feel the depth of her sorrow within your breast. Ruefully, you tell the mermaid once more that you cannot help her. You're only a traveller after all. Yes, I thought you might say that. It is quite unfortunate, but, well, I ought not to reflect upon all that I am missing. That would be churlish of me, and it would not be fair to you either. You did not approach me, I am sure, with the hope of hearing about all of my woes. I should be grateful instead for all that I do have. I still have my long, long life, which stretches before me like a golden cord, and, of course, I have you now. Does she? Do I not? I ought to go soon before my absence is noticed, but will you not come to visit me again tomorrow night? I think I would like that. I've always enjoyed speaking to humans. You make me feel less alone. Don't you have friends and mermaid friends? You cannot help but feel as the mermaid observes you with those enchanting eyes of her that she does not truly wish to speak to you for your sake. She wants to use you, instead, as a substitute for the farmhand that has been missing for so very ardently. The thought stings, though you really ought to be used to it. Still, to be held in lower esteem than a farmhand of all things makes your self-esteem sting. Try not to let the mermaid notice this, though. The woes of your past are not her fault, such as the woes of her past are not yours. It is silly, in any case, to be jealous of a girl who might very well be dead. That is what you tell yourself. It is the only way to prop up your bruised sense of self-worth. You tell the mermaid, after a pause. I'd like to see her again. Would like that very much. I have been feeling very gloomy for quite some time, but seeing you has invigorated me. Finally, it feels as though I can smile again. Did she not smile, you wonder, after her friend disappeared? I did not, no. I did not have the heart. Without her, the world seemed very dull and drab. Your company has cheered me immensely. This is why I like humans so much. You are not callous and unfeeling like the merfolk who live beneath the water's surface. You are much kinder than they are. Oh, if only she knew. If the mermaid was aware, I wonder, of how petty you are and how jealous, would she still care for you? Well, it is neither here nor there. You agree to meet with the mermaid come sundown the following night, then make your slow stumbling way back up the cliffs, then to the cottage you have purloined as your own. Once indoors, you settle down upon your pallet, and then you close your eyes. The sighing of the wind outside and the distant roiling of the waves against the rocks do not disturb you. You feel, after your midnight encounter of a marish kind, quite at ease, perhaps prematurely so. What happened to the icy fear which prompted your frantic flight through the forest? Where has all that gone? Do you not think you are being complacent? No? Oh well, you will. And on that note, we will wrap up today's episode. Thank you all so very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. That was very, very interesting. I liked that quite a bit. That was very just something so suspicious. I'm glad this time around that we point out the fact that someone was chasing her through the forest. You know, like, we can't afford to just relax and rest and sleep when whatever was going on could still be after us. And the narrator's words there at the end, you will, very concerning. And I fear that the narrator herself was the one chasing us through the forest, the reason we were so scared in the first place. However, the truth I do not know yet. Another very interesting tidbit in today's episode was the dream we had of our main character's past, bullied by her classmates and by the people at school, looked down on by her professors and her other students. I hope to learn more about this character and more about the story as it unfolds and more about the narrator, whoever that may be. I hope you enjoyed today's episode of It Gets So Lonely Here. If you did, be sure to leave a like, subscribe for more, comment down below if you like this video. And the next episode will be very Yandere filled, more so than it was now, I'm sure. Thank you all so very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. My name has been Senkara. And until next time, see ya.